Hi, I'm Ian from Wirral Computer Services. Today we've got a G56 HP. There's two main problems with it. One, it needs a new screen, so we're going to do a screen replacement, and the other is the bottom plastic, the base is broken here, and if I then try and shut the lid, see how it's bending out, totally broken off, so we need to replace that bottom plastic. Now I've already made a start, sorry that you've missed that, but it's quite easy on HP. So what you do is you take the battery out, but there's some screws underneath there. You take the cases off for the hard drive and the RAM, the base plates, take them off, undo all the screws. Those screws go through, some of those screws go through and hold the keyboard on. Once you took those out, you can pull the keyboard out, undo the ribbon cable, remove the keyboard. Then you have one screw. Sometimes on HP you have two, maybe three screws, but it's not very many. Move those screws, and then the mouse pad can be lifted up. You need to undo the ribbon cable at the front here, for the mouse and the touchpad. And you need to undo the ribbon cable for the power button as well, and the speakers. But I've left the power button switch is still in, and the battery, I put the battery back in so we can power it up, just so we can see the screen, damage the screen. It's not very evident on that. I'll wait for it to load up a bit. My new camera will arrive next week, so you'll be able to see a lot more detail of what I'm doing. I'll probably mount the camera up so you get a bird's eye view. I think that would be a lot better. I'm just going to put the mouse back in. So there we can see that big crack now. So the screen needs to be replaced. Oops. Hopefully it will detect the mouse. No, never mind, let's just switch it off. Okay. Right. So we'll either take the battery out. Just undo these ribbons again. So that's the palm rest, the mouse, etc. off. I'm just going to slide out the CD drive. I've already obviously removed the screw from underneath. So there's the DVD drive out of the way. Okay, just going to flip it halfway over and remove the hard drive. So now I'm just removing the hard drive screws and going to pull the hard drive out. It's connected by a connector, so I undo that just by sliding it out. That's the hard drive gone. I'm just removing the network, the Wi-Fi card there by undoing 2 screws, and then it just pulls out. Obviously I give it a little bit of a brush because there's dust and crumbs etc. that get inside of the laptop. Just now undoing any ribbon cables, the DC jack adapter where it goes into the motherboard. The speakers just been unplugged there, and the LCD cable for the monitor. Just going to take out the wire. Just took out the wires as well for the Wi-Fi, and so we can now remove the hinge screws and take the screen away. That leaves us with just the base with the motherboard. Just unwrapping the new base. It's actually got some cables connected to it, so I'm removed those for spares. Now just remove the USB cable for the right hand side. Just reattached it into the new base. That there is the spare cable for the DVD drive. I've got one, the original one, so we're going to relocate that onto the new base. Just removing the screws that hold the motherboard in, and just gently working the motherboard out of the housing. We've got that free. Just moving the DC jack over to the other base. I'm going to thread those wires through the base and then reattach the motherboard. You do it at that end first so that you don't stress the motherboard. And just drop it into place. Excuse me. And once it's in place, now can start reconnecting the wires, putting them back into the proper place on them, and attaching them to the base. Just screwing in the motherboard to the base now. So that base is now put back together. Now we're just taking the screen. First thing to do is remove the hinges. Remember that hinge was broken, so that's come off now. There's some cover plates for the hinges. I'm going to get rid of those. We're just taking the screws out from the bezel, and we just find a loose part of the bezel so we can start pulling it away. That's the bezel off. Now we remove the screws that hold in the screen to the lid. Just giving it a brush, like I say, there's lots of crumbs etc. inside there. Once we've got all the screws out, we can lift the screen out and disconnect the LCD cable that's holding the screen in, that connects the screen up, and remove that screen. There's 2 arms that hold the screen onto the hinges. We just remove the screws that hold them in. so we can take those arms away. Get rid of the old screen. Take our new screen, remove from the bag, remove the protective cover that's on the front. Now we line it up so that the connector is at the right place, so that where it would be in the lid, so that we've got it the right way around, so we know which is the right, which is the left, so we can attach the appropriate arms to the right sides. Now we can place the screen back into the lid. We just have to reconnect the LCD cable. Thread the any connectors, any cables through the hinges, and then redo the screws. Reconnect those screws. Just making sure that the cables are going through the gaps in the hinges properly, and then now we're just going to replace that bezel. Should have said just put the hinge covers on before we put the bezel in. I made a mistake. I put that hinge cover over one screw hole too far to the right, so I moved it back. Click the bezel back into place and reattach the screws that are holding it in. We'll get our base back and put our screen into place. And start threading. I'm actually threading the wireless antenna through the motherboard now, because it needs to get through to the other side. And now I'm reconnecting the LCD cable. Now put the palm rest back on top, click it into place and reconnect all of the disconnected ribbon cables. I've just replaced the screws that hold the palm rest to the base that will go through the top, and now replacing the keyboard. Got to make sure that there's a ribbon cable underneath there, goes into the correct place and is clicked into place, which I neglected to do I think there, so I've just redone it. Oh, there's the screws going in to hold the... oh my god, I took it off. I didn't screw all of the hinge screws back into place, so I'm just putting those hinge screws back in. Right, back to that part. So we put the palm rest back into place, reconnect all the ribbon cables, reconnect the two screws that hold the palm rest down, reconnect the ribbon cable for the keyboard, relocate the keyboard, just quite tidying up, got to keep the place clean. Now we're going to replace the hard drive. Just push it back into the socket, relocate it back into the space that's for it, and then screw it back into place. Just checking that I'm putting the right screws, the screws back into the correct holes. think I actually might have made a mistake. Just put the CD drive back in and then secured it with its screw. Just replacing the screws back into the base. Answer the phone. Now I'm just connecting the antennas back onto the network card, I think there. Bit fiddly, but they do just pop back onto place. Just screwing the network card back in and replacing the rest of the screws into the base. Making sure that they're good and tight. Just replacing the covers for the hard drive and the RAM now. There's that screw I put in the wrong place, just move it to the correct place. Give every piece a good brush before you reinstall it so it's nice and clean. So that's all the screws back in, all the plates back into place. And the battery put back in. As you can see, it's working fine. Thanks very much and see you soon. Bye for now.